What's up, familia? Welcome back to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about how to monetize a small audience. So whether you're just getting started with an online business or you've been at it for a while, but you have a little audience, maybe you haven't paid attention to your social media in a while, and you're wondering, how can I make money right now? How can I actually sell my products, my programs, my services? That's exactly what we're going to dive into in this episode. Make sure to stay till the end because we are going to pack in so many tips and strategies that you're going to want to deploy right away. So let's get into it. So quick disclaimer, if you are watching this episode because you want to become famous, maybe you're an artist, maybe you're a songwriter, maybe you're a singer, and your whole game with social media is to gain fame and popularity and build a fan base, that is awesome, but this is definitely not the episode for you. We're really just talking to entrepreneurs and business owners who want to expand their reach, who want to build a brand, who want to serve people and sell more of their products, programs, and services. And so it's important to note that I love you, but this is definitely not the video for you if that's what you're after. So I also want to explain to you what my mentality is around making money online and why it matters. See, I think that every leader and every creator is giving you advice based on their experience. And so I want to be upfront with you about my experience and my stance and why I think that it's so important to really choose profitability over popularity when it comes to monetizing your brand, and why I'm so freaking passionate about building small audiences or building large audiences as long as you are making money, as long as you're profitable. And that really stems back from my background. So I learned online marketing and business from OGs, people that have been doing this for 30 plus years, basically since the internet was a thing. And so that's kind of like my background. I really learned from them to build value, to build relationships, to understand the psychology behind what actually makes someone want to buy something from you, whether it's on or offline. And so I am not about this whole kind of new societal pressure to be super popular and super famous. And sometimes I listen to, Instagram experts, or I listen to Pinterest experts, and they're talking about how they're spending 4 or 5 hours every single day, like analyzing hashtags, and like spending 2-3 hours every single day commenting on other people's posts, and that's how they're blowing up their Instagram. And my mentality around that is like, that's not sustainable for the everyday entrepreneur. It's not sustainable for the everyday business owner. And so I look at things from the lens of what is actually going to be the most effective strategy for me to grow my business online and do it for the long term, right? Because I don't care about being popular and about being famous. I want to be doing business not just today or in 5 years. I want to be doing business literally till the day I die. I'm in for the long term. And so when I hear those things and that kind of advice, which works for some people, I feel like this generation of entrepreneurs, like these millennials, which I consider myself a part of because I am a millennial, it's just we have totally different worldviews and different ways of doing business. And so for me, when I hear that you're supposed to spend 4 hours a day just analyzing hashtags on Instagram, that doesn't make sense to me. And so I really want you to understand where I'm coming from when I'm talking about these strategies and why I think that there's way more effective ways of growing and monetizing your brand that don't involve, spending a disproportionate amount of time just hyper focusing on trying to get as many likes and as many comments as you can, because you just can't take those to the bank. Yes, they're important. Yes, it's great to build brand and great to build awareness and to build relationships, and you need to show up and you have to serve. But it doesn't mean that you just stop running your business altogether, or that you have to literally, spend 16 hours working your butt off because 4 or 5 of those are spent just on Instagram. Like, that just does not make sense to me. And so I just want to make that super clear up front. And so I want to kick things off, speaking of OG marketing, with a quote from Seth Godin that I absolutely love. He says, "People don't buy goods and services. People buy relations, stories, and magic." Boom. And really what he's trying to say with this quote is that, it's so important to understand why people make a purchasing decision. They make a purchasing decision based on emotions, right? They don't buy based on rational or logic. They buy based on emotions, and they justify those purchases with logic. And so when you understand that, you realize, okay, if I build a quality audience, even if it's just 500 followers on Instagram, and I built that relationship with those people, and I show up and I serve them and I really, really give them value, they're going to be inclined to say yes when I have something to sell. And that's the entire premise of monetizing a small audience. It's attracting people that actually care about what you have to offer, that will actually pay for your goods and services, instead of just people who are there to, entertain themselves, or are there to maybe comment on a couple posts, but never really buy into your message or buy into your company as a whole. And I know it sounds basic, but basic really isn't basic unless you don't do it. And here's why. Foundational principles of business will always yield the majority of your results. Meaning, if you get your foundation down, you will understand how to sell in any economy. You'll know how to sell in any platform, in any environment. And that's what I'm trying to teach you. I'm trying to empower you to look beyond the specific platform and think about, okay, how can I reverse engineer this process? How can I learn how to sell and produce results for my brand, regardless of where I am? And that really is the first tip. Attract a quality audience. And how do you do that? You do that by getting clear on your message, by understanding what it is you have to sell and reverse engineer that process. So let's say, for example, that you have an online service and you maybe coach brand new moms. That is something that you can totally do online, and it could be very profitable. So you want to focus on, okay, this is my service. This is how much I'm going to charge for that service. How do I get people to really respond to me and buy into me as a service provider? How do I position my know-how and my knowledge? How can I prove to them that I can actually get them results, whatever the result might be? What are their challenges? What are things that they struggle with? Maybe new moms are just really freaking overwhelmed with getting their babies on a normal schedule, or maybe they just literally haven't gotten any sleep and they need to get the baby on a freaking routine so that it sleeps longer through the night. Or maybe they're just trying to get their family on board with helping and being a part of this whole new season in their life. So get clear on what your people want. Have conversations, right? Talk to them in person, via DMs, hop on a Skype call, whatever you need to do to get to know your ideal client. That's really going to be the source and the secret sauce to selling with a small audience. When you can prove to a group of people that you understand them, and more importantly, that you have the solution to their problem, it's going to be so much easier to sell whatever it is that you have to offer, because it's the right offer for them. And so right now, I want you to pull out a pen and paper, and you're going to ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, what is my offer? If you don't have an offer yet, it's time to create one. And we'll talk about creating a baby offer in a couple of tips. But for right now, just get some ideas flowing, get some creativity. And if you already have an offer, write it down. Really get clear on what it is you want to sell. Maybe you have multiple offers and multiple products. Pick 1 or 2 that you're going to really push, that you're going to focus on selling that one product, that one service, that one program. Super important. Question number 2, who is actually going to buy this product? Who can it serve the best? Get clear and get freaking specific. I don't care how long it takes. You're going to write down who this person is. Give it a name if you can. It's so much easier to think about your ideal client as an actual person. And if you can model your ideal client after an ideal client that you've already had in real life, that's even better. Jot down her challenges, jot down her dreams, jot down what he has expressed to you are the obstacles to getting the results that he wants or that she wants. And then question number 3, how can I create content around those challenges? How can I show that person before they even open up their wallets or even think about doing business with me, that I have the solution to their problem and that I'm the expert in this field. Remember that online marketing and just being a brand online is all about sharing value. It's about sharing your expertise. Even if you're not the face of your company, even if you sell physical products, you want to educate people. It's your secret weapon and the best way that you can monetize an audience that's really small, that's really tiny, that maybe you just started out with. And I want to remind you, by the way, here's something that's really important and changed the game for me when I was just starting out. Even if you just have 50 followers, if there was a room of people in real life filled with those 50 people who were just there listening to what you had to say, you would freak the heck out. You'd be like, oh my God, why are there 50 people here? Or maybe there were 50 people at your office, like lining up to hear what you had to say, or at your store. You'd be like, oh my God, this is really amazing. But for some reason, we think of people online as like completely separate, kind of entities from actual humans. And no, they're actual humans. So if you have 50 people or 100 people, like think of those people as real humans. They're people who've literally raised their hand and said, hey, I want to hear what you have to say. Don't take that lightly. That's a huge compliment and a big responsibility. So show up for those people just as hard as if you had 1 million subscribers. Really, that's how you bridge the gap and how you get there. So focus on value, focus on gratitude, focus on really just showing up for those people. Okay, awesome. So now that you have clearly laid out what your product is, who is going to be the ideal fit for that product, and what kind of content you can create that can attract those people, we're going to move into the next step. And the next step is to create 2 different kinds of strategies. Number 1, you're going to create a short-term strategy. And number 2, you're going to create a long-term strategy. Now, most of us know what the long-term strategy is, right? You're going to show up every single week, non-negotiable. And you're going to show up in whatever format makes sense for you as the brand, right? Whether that is you actually having a podcast episode, or you have a video that goes out every single week on YouTube, or you're just doing an Instagram live maybe once or twice a week, or you're on Facebook Live, or you run a blog. I don't care the format or the medium. I just want you to show up and commit to doing it at least once a week. It is a non-negotiable. That is your long-term strategy. And really what you're going to do is you're going to take all of these topics, all of this content, and you're going to use all the challenges, the obstacles, the questions that people ask you, the things that they bring up in conversation. You're going to jot them down. You're going to keep a running list of all of those things, and those are going to become your content ideas. Literally, you're going to be creating content straight out of the questions, the challenges, the obstacles that your ideal client faces. And that's all you're going to do with your long-term strategy. I know that it sounds crazy simple, but hang with me. I promise it'll make sense, and that you will get better as you continue to listen to your people, to understand what works and what doesn't, what resonates with them and what kind of gives them, snores. So keep that in mind. Really, you're just being a good social media manager, a good marketer, a good entrepreneur. You're listening to your people. You're doing more of what works and less of what doesn't. And people think that there's this like magical secret to this. And there isn't. The magical secret, the secret sauce, the formula that I'm about to give you is what I just told you. You got to listen to people, create content around things that they care about, period, and you will always be in business. The same principle applies to your products, programs, and services. When you have offers that people want to buy, you will be in business forever. If you continue to innovate, if you continue to give people what they actually want and need, you are set. It doesn't matter how the climate changes. It doesn't matter what the algorithms do. It doesn't matter how the economy shifts. You will always have the know-how, right, to pivot, to make changes, to adjust, to innovate, to continue pushing the envelope and moving forward. And really, that's what marketing is about. That's what being a good entrepreneur is all about. That's what innovation is about. Keep changing, keep listening, keep adjusting, and you will always be in business, period. All right, so now let's talk about your short-term strategy. How are you going to monetize right now? What does that look like? What is an easy step or an easy process for you to do this? And so traditionally, the advice you will probably hear online, and it's stuff that I teach and you'll hear from me as well, there's nothing wrong with it. It just sometimes can overwhelm you when you're getting started, is, hey, you need to build a funnel. And really all that a funnel is a selling system. It is an intentional way of bringing a follower through the process of becoming a lead and then becoming a customer. That is literally all you need to do. And that can happen via your email list. That can happen straight on social media. It can happen on your website, on your blog, or even in your physical store if your goal is to bring people in the door and offer them a service or get them to buy a product. So it's really important that we kind of look at this whole concept of a funnel as a way to move people to the next step in the relationship, into becoming a buyer, into becoming a customer, a client. And we just came out with this course called Conversions RX in the Business Lounge. And we talk about the 4 stages of a customer's journey or a client's journey, right? The first stage being discovery, right? It's when they get to know who the heck your brand is. They're brand new. They just followed you on social media, or they engaged with the post and they liked what they saw. And so they decided that they're going to be a part of your community. That's the discovery phase. Phase number 2 is consumption. And really here, they're just looking at your content. They're getting to know you. You're building the relationship. You're showing them that you understand exactly what they're going through, and you're getting them like quick wins through your content, right? You're getting them value, you're inspiring them, you're entertaining them, or you're helping them achieve a specific result. And then the third stage is acquisition. And really just you're acquiring them as a client, you're acquiring them as a customer. They've said yes to pay you for your service, your product, or your program. And this is like where we're super excited as entrepreneurs. We're like, yes, our hard work just paid off. It's exciting. And then the fourth stage is ascension. That's when they purchase from you a second time, or they become a super fan and they totally share your stuff with their friends and family, and they're obsessed and they're just like so excited about your brand. So you've gotten them to become a repeat customer. And really, ascension is where the majority of brands get to scale and grow. So it's something that I want you to understand, even if you're a beginner, because that's the end goal and we're going to reverse engineer it. So as you craft your short-term strategy, the first step that you're going to outline is, okay, I know that I have the ability of turning total strangers into followers, right? Through the discovery phase. I know that I'm going to create consistent content. That's my long-term strategy. And that's the consumption. Now I got to get them to actually buy from me. How can I do that? And so the most basic way of doing this is just to put up your offer and see who decides to buy it. It's really simple. You don't necessarily need a full-fledged funnel. You want a funnel because that'll allow you to create evergreen sales day in and day out without you having to do a full promotion. But when you're just getting started and you want to just monetize right now, share your freaking offer and do it way more often than you think. This is the best piece of advice I got from one of my mentors, Kelly and Mike from Membership Site Academy. I love them. They said, Kim, you need to share your membership way more than you do. Just talk about it in conversation. You don't have to actually be pushy about your product. You don't have to be pushy about your program or about your service. Just let people know that you have something to sell. And here's the mentality shift that you need to make. So often we think that people who follow us immediately know everything about us, that they, because they follow our brand, they know that we have things for sale and that they could go to our website and hire us, or that they can reach out to via DMs and, get access to consultation or book, the initial session. And that's just not the case. People are super busy. They have lives of their own. They're not paying attention to every single thing that you do until they're super fans. And most people are not in that fourth phase of ascension. They're in discovery or they're in consumption. So you just want to talk about what the heck you do. You don't have to do it in a way that's uncomfortable. Find a way that makes sense for you. For me, it's just having these conversations. It's just putting out content and letting you know, hey, I do have a membership, sign up for the wait list. Hey, we do have other courses. Hey, you can hire us as a company to do consulting. Those are all things that we do as a brand, but we don't create dedicated episodes all about our offers all the time, which we probably should do at least once a year. But we just talk about it in conversation. You'll hear me talk about it in stories. You'll see client testimonials on my Instagram account. You'll see it on my Facebook page. I'll show you behind the scenes of what we're doing and new releases. You'll hear about it in the newsletter. It's not necessarily something that I am just kind of constantly pushing on my community, but I let them know that that's available when they're ready to make the next step. And so that's the first strategy that you have for your short-term monetization plan. It really is so simple, but it's something that I rarely see people do well. So now that you have a clear step one for your short-term strategy in terms of your monetization plan, and you're hopefully talking about your product, you're making it known that you have a service, and you're doing it in a way that's tasteful. Remember that this is an art, not a science, meaning that you can't replicate it. I can't give you a recipe for how you should be talking about your product, service, or program. You got to find out your own individual art, the way that you feel comfortable sharing your offer, and you have to find a balance, right? You can't be all promotional all the time. You got to build value. You got to build that relationship. You got to earn the ability to talk about your paid stuff. But hopefully at this point, you're implementing, right? You're taking this advice, putting it into action, and hopefully within a couple weeks, you're seeing people ask questions, reach out to hire you, and you're starting to see some momentum. It might take some experimentation, it might take some trial and error until you find your sweet spot, but I promise if you do it and you do it well, it'll really yield results. Now let's get into more of an intentional strategy with step number one, or strategy number two. And that really is to create a systematic way of bringing people into your world so that they could actually purchase from you. And you could do this two different ways. Number one, you can build what I like to call a baby funnel, or really just a one-page whether it's on your website or, a standalone service. It doesn't matter where it is, especially if you're just getting started. You just want to have a page where you can send people to and they can actually give you their money online. And that's really important, right? So it's not about the tools that you have. It's just about the strategy. If you're a service-based business, then you want to have a place where you can actually send potential clients to actually book a session with you, or book a package, or book some kind of, service, and give you money in exchange. You can also, if you are something like a product-based business, have a Shopify store, right? Ideally, you would have a Shopify store. People can give you their money, actually put their orders in, and you can ship out your stuff. It doesn't have to be complicated, right? Even if you just have one product, it's totally okay. And then if you have an online course, training, digital downloads, you want to have one page that clearly explains your product, that details the benefits of your offer, and a clear and easy way for people to actually pay for that product and get access to it. So that is your baby funnel. It's a one-page place where you can actually send people to, drive your Instagram traffic, drive your Twitter traffic, drive traffic from Pinterest, drive traffic from your blog, your podcast, your YouTube channel. One place where people can actually do business with you. Now, you can also just take the lead magnet approach. Let's say that you have no idea what to do with your baby funnel and you're overwhelmed. Let's simplify it. Let's simplify it even more. You can just create a lead magnet. Literally, just create a lead magnet. And I have tons of videos that I'll link in a playlist below this one. And if you're listening on the pod, we'll also have a link to the blog where you can get all of the other episodes related to this one about lead magnets. And really what you want to do here is create an incentive for people to give you their information so that you can follow up. So maybe you create a checklist, a toolkit, a webinar. You can create some kind of masterclass, any kind of discount, incentive, something of value that people would be willing to give in exchange, or get, I should say, in exchange for their information. And really what you do from here is, once you actually turn your followers into leads, right? That's a clear transaction. That's a change in the relationship. Then you can just send them an offer via email. I know, sounds very, very advanced, but it's so simple. You could totally do this. Just have your lead magnet, turn your audience from followers into email subscribers, and then, maybe once a week or every couple of weeks, send them an offer, like pitch them literally on your service, on your product, on your program, whatever it is. You can literally just communicate with them that way. And again, still an art, right? There isn't a science to how you communicate. You just have to find your own style. But this is just a basic strategy to get you rolling, to literally get the ball rolling, to inject some cash flow into your business so that you're not having to just rely on your long-term plan, build an entire funnel, have evergreen traffic, split test until you're freaking tired. I was going to say until your nose bleeds, but that doesn't make any sense. And then, go through the entire process of building an online business, which is something you want to do eventually, right? Have the foundational elements of an online brand, an online company that generates revenue every single day, that has a clear system for turning strangers into followers, into leads, into buyers. But for right now, these are just quick and easy ninja hacks. Like, just let's do it. Let's go. Let's sell something. Let's get some clients and customers, leverage those testimonials, those case studies into more clients and more customers. Just a quick way for you to get started. And then step number 3, right? Once you have your baby funnel or you have a lead magnet, and then you can communicate with your actual people, and you're seeing that, that baby funnel or that lead magnet is turning into more interest, meaning people are messaging you back via email saying, hey, I have questions about this. I'm interested. Yes. Or they're actually going to that baby funnel page, they're purchasing, and there's, some momentum, some things are happening, some things are shaking. Then you can get systematic with it. And the third step is all about being intentional and sending people to that lead magnet, to that baby funnel every single week, meaning you need to have a system to do that, right? So maybe you notice and you experiment that if you go live on Instagram every Friday and you come up with a topic that really serves your people, and then you send them to that lead magnet, you notice that you have momentum and people start buying from you over the weekend. Or maybe you know that if you post 2 times a week on your Facebook group, letting people know that you have a ton of value over on your lead magnet and that they can get access to it, and then they see other people getting excited about it and sharing that they're getting results, then that's something that you're going to do systematically, like every 2 weeks, right? Post about it, or twice a week, post about it, or do it once a week on your Instagram. You want to experiment with your social channels and see what actually works in terms of how frequently and what formats promotionally work for you. Send people to that baby funnel, send people to that lead magnet, and do it intentionally. Like, build it into your content strategy, build it into your overall marketing plan. And that will actually yield results, and it'll give you a great starting point for when you actually have a full-blown funnel that you send ads to, that you send traffic to, that maybe, you really feature on your website. And it'll get you kind of those creative juices flowing, and you'll get used to having a systematic approach to actually sending people through a designated path to becoming a client or a customer. All right, so let's recap. In order to monetize a small audience, you don't need to have anything fancy. You don't need to have like these super ninja skills. You just gotta implement basic business principles that'll serve you, whether you're tiny right now, like if you're tiny right now, or when you're huge. The same principles will still apply. You're just going to deploy them differently, like in a smaller scale. So, number 1, super important, you need to have an offer that people care about, right? You got to have an offer that people care about. Number 2, you got to get to know your folks. Really put some time and energy into getting to know your people. Jump on a Skype call, talk to them in real life. Get a lot of conversation going on your social channels so that you can understand their pain points, their challenges, and their obstacles that they're facing so that you can create solutions around those things. Of course, you want to attract the right audience, meaning you got to have your messaging dialed in. You got to make sure that you are constantly and consistently speaking to the right people. And sometimes this will be overwhelming when you're getting started because you're like, well, I haven't sold my first thing, or I just don't really know what direction I want to take with my platform. Experiment, see what works, see what people resonate with. And if you're having to backtrack and you notice that, oh my gosh, I've attracted the wrong audience, that's okay. It's totally okay to pivot and kind of move forward with that new information, attracting the right people with the right message. And again, it's going to take some experimentation. You're going to have to, really analyze the conversations that you're having. For example, this is a rookie mistake I see all the time. A lot of people get really passionate and excited because they know that they can help a certain category of folks, right? And then as they get into that process of having those conversations, they realize, holy crap, I really want to help these people, but my service is too expensive, right? Like they can't afford the offer that I have available. So now I have to pivot and change how I serve them. So maybe you're going to serve those people through your free, valuable content. You're going to show up for them online, but the people that are going to actually buy your service need to be a little bit more advanced, might need to have a little bit more experience, right? Might need to have a little bit more disposable income. That's totally okay. Like it's normal to go through that process. So be confident, be passionate, and be determined to figure out what that messaging and what that journey has to look like for you. And then you want to get clear on your short-term strategy in terms of how you're going to monetize, as well as your long-term strategy, right? You're going to create a plan. You're going to get very serious about this, and you're going to talk about your offer constantly. You're going to build a baby funnel or a lead magnet to send people to communicate with them, to be able to ever so often pitch them on your product, program, or service. And then you're going to get super strategic with sending them to that baby funnel or that lead magnet consistently, right? Being able to implement this into your marketing strategy is so important, and that'll get you totally primed for when you're ready to scale and get more advanced strategies to continue monetizing your audience. Did you enjoy this episode? Please be a darling if you did and give me a big thumbs up. And here's the question of the day. Are you feeling more encouraged about being able to monetize your audience, or are you feeling totally overwhelmed? I want to hear from you below so that way we can create follow-up episodes around this topic. I would love to know what questions you have around monetizing a small audience. Did this episode make sense to you? Are you feeling empowered, or are you feeling totally overwhelmed? Let me know below. And of course, if you haven't already subscribed, definitely consider doing so. We talk all about business and marketing strategies that are sustainable, that will actually give you results and will help you build a long-term sustainable business that's profitable in any economy. So I'm really excited to share even more with you. So definitely consider subscribing, and hey, share with a friend. Bring over all your peoples. I want to meet them as well, and we can all learn and grow together. Thank you so much for watching. I've had a total blast chatting with you today. Un beso, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. We did it. We did it. We've completed the episode. This was a long one, but a fun one. They actually become a paying client or customer. This is the happy phase, right? This is where all we celebrate and we're like, oh my gosh, our hard work totally paid off.